When being a wife becomes your identity instead of your ministry. Let's talk about it. This topic was actually something that came from a lesson I recently learned after coming out of a relationship. Now, the relationship itself was good, it was healthy, taught me a lot, and it might not have been the right relationship, or perhaps it wasn't the right time, but it was the relationship that revealed a lot of things about myself that I had never fully seen before. And today I want to focus specifically on what happens when you make your partner a source of purpose. This is something that I've personally experienced. For a long time, I spent a lot of my time reading books about marriage and watching a lot of teachings and sermons on marriage. One thing that was constantly emphasized was the importance of a man having a vision. When we look at Adam in the Garden of Eden, God gave Adam work before he gave him Eve, right? He gave him responsibility, he gave him a vision, he was given the garden, he was given the animals, and he was given the responsibility of naming them, right? So he had already had an assignment before Eve arrived. So when Eve came into the picture, she came as a helper in relation to the vision that already existed. And because of that, I understood something very early on. A man should know where he's going, right? He should know what God has called him to do. A man should have a vision. But what I didn't understand was that God doesn't only give vision to men, He can also give vision to women as well. And that realization changed everything for me because what was happening in my own life was that I had spent so much time thinking about becoming a wife and that I had never fully taken the time to understand who I was outside of becoming a wife. I had not fully discovered my own purpose. I hadn't fully discovered what God had deposited inside of. And matter of fact, I actually didn't think there was anything special to me or that I had any specific gifts that God had deposited in me to use to help other people. And because of that, I slowly began treating being a wife as my identity instead of understanding that it was a ministry. So becoming a wife became my purpose. I thought, okay, God created me to be a helpmate for someone. I'm going to help someone. I'm going to help my husband and all these things. Now, I think that's where a lot of women struggle. Being a wife is a ministry. It's not your identity, right? Being a wife is one of the roles that God may call you into. It is not the entirety of who you are. And mind you, when I say that, I thought, okay, yeah, being a wife definitely is something that I was created to do, right? To be honest, my career was definitely different from what my purpose was. Because I had not yet understood my own purpose, I unknowingly began to believe that my purpose was simply to become someone's wife. Your spirit knows when there is more inside of you, even when your mind has not fully understood it yet. There was something inside of me that knew I was created for more. My partner was someone who knew who he was, right? He was very confident, he was logical, and he naturally had gifts in certain areas. He was the kind of person that could walk into a room and easily connect with people. He could advocate for them, he could lead them, he could command attention. And because I had not fully discovered my own identity, I would look at those qualities and feel threatened. The reason I was threatened by him is not because he was doing anything wrong, but because I hadn't yet learned to appreciate what God had placed inside of me. I felt like they are not loud enough, they are not evident enough, they are not big enough, right? That was a painful thing to admit. Because when you're not secure in your own identity, someone else's strengths can begin to expose your insecurity. And instead of appreciating what they bring to the table, you start comparing yourself to them. Instead of celebrating them, you start competing with them. Instead of celebrating your wife or your girlfriend's strengths, you start being threatened by them. Instead of allowing them to be given that space to shine, you try and diminish them because it's bringing out insecurities in you. And what I came to realize is that you cannot truly compliment someone if you're secretly competing with them. You cannot celebrate what someone else carries when you're still questioning the value of what you carry. If you feel like what you have, if you don't take the time to truly appreciate what God has put in you, right, what God has called you to, what the fact that God just didn't create you for a random reason. He created you for a distinct purpose, and you don't appreciate that, you will be threatened by your partner. And I think that is even a tactic that the enemy uses, that he would try to pervert or steal your identity from you. Now, there's nothing wrong with loving someone deeply. The problem is that many of us never learned how to love deeply without losing ourselves. Because I wasn't fully established in my own identity, I found myself slowly losing myself in the relationship. And it wasn't intentional, it happened gradually, and that's what makes it dangerous. You don't wake up one morning deciding to lose yourself. It happens little by little. You stop nurturing your own purpose and you stop exploring your own gifts. You stop asking who you are outside of the relationship, and before you know it, your entire identity becomes attached to another person. That's why some people completely lose themselves when a relationship ends. It's not because the relationship was their whole life, it's because they made the relationship their identity. I've seen them pour everything into becoming wives and mothers, and somewhere along the way they stop investing in themselves. Then one day they wake up and realize they don't know who they are outside of those roles. And I think that is why it's so important to maintain a sense of self, to maintain your relationship with God, to maintain your purpose, and to maintain the things that make you who you are. Not because you love your family any less, but because you understand that wifehood is a ministry, motherhood is a ministry, and they are not your identity. When wifehood becomes a ministry, you can serve in it without losing yourself. When you're growing up, everything is always sort of centered around, this is what you would do in your husband's house. You wake up late, oh, is this what you're going to do in your husband's house? You mistakenly cook bad food that day, or is this what you're going to be doing for your husband? These are the things that we grew up being told. So of course, subconsciously, your brain is going to wire being a wife to being part of your identity. And I think that is very damaging. If we are to correct our young girls, I feel like we should correct them on the basis of, this is just something you should do because it will empower you, and not because, oh, you need this in marriage. When you know who you are and what God has called you to do, you become more intentional about who you allow access to your life. Not because you're arrogant or because you think you're better than everyone else, but because you understand what you are carrying. You understand that purpose requires alignment. You begin to ask different questions. Does this person's vision align with mine? Do our values align? Can we build together? Can we walk in the same direction? Because when two people come together, it's not just about attraction. It's about alignment. It's about purpose. It's about vision. God is so intentional with these things. And it's about whether or not the things that God has placed inside both people can move together in harmony. You don't want to be with a partner who diminishes your purpose. It diminishes or comes against what God has called you to do. So I feel like when you both understand what your purpose is, what God has called you to do, you're more intentional about who you allow into your life. You're not just gonna go on any random date with anyone and just be like, okay, let me give it a shot. No, you're very intentional about that person and what they carry, and can they walk alongside you, right, to bring your vision into reality. Before looking for someone else's purpose, discover your own. Before asking someone else to define you, know who you are. Before making wifehood your identity, understand your purpose, because being a wife is a beautiful ministry, but it was never meant to be the entirety of who you are. God gave you gifts. He gave you a purpose. He gave you identity. And when you understand those things, you stop competing. You start complementing. You stop comparing, and you start appreciating. And you learn how to love someone deeply without losing yourself in the process. So this has been the pros and the cons. See both sides, and as always, choose wisely.